Okay, I'm from CDL. For those who may not know us well, we are a listed company and headquarters in Singapore, started 60 years ago. This year is our 60th anniversary. And we started with 8 employees, and today we are operating in 28 countries and regions. And what we are proud of is actually we have been driving sustainability ESG in the global arena and occupying quite, recognized in many ESG global ratings and ranking, doing good and doing well. So, but I think whether we are listed or not, whether we are public or, private, whether we are large cap or SME, all of us have to look at ESG now. And I started the journey in 1995. That was almost 29 years ago. And for a good 10 years, nobody talked to me because they are not interested in green. And until recent years, that everybody wants to talk about sustainability. Every other day there is conferences and all. So I think we all know that our world, our planet is afflicted by climate challenge. Okay. And I always say that ES and G, environment, social, and governance, you can't split hair. Whatever happened to our environment and the planet affect people, affect economies. I mean, we have learned that, during COVID, right? And then, so these are the actually World Economic Forum's, the findings, for the 2 years projection. You see those green bar are climate related, whether it is failures to, mitigate climate change or biodiversity loss and all. And, but over a 10 years projection, you can see the green bar actually creeping up to the top, because the world is really not sustainable and we are losing a lot of biodiversities and nature and all that. After that, my fellow panelists, I'm sure Raghu is an expert in, at WWF to talk about that. But as a business, we look at it as also the business case as well. And I'm a firm believer of triple bottom line. Without a healthy planet, you won't have people or market for businesses to thrive. So I think this is a very simple logic that, and sustainability integration is really a business and investment case as well, not just about the risk, but also how do we mitigate risk or adapt to risk through innovations and technologies to drive change and turn risk to opportunities. And in fact, there are a lot of research already show that our insured loss, especially in terms of properties and assets, had been hitting new high. Almost every year there's a new high. And then by 2050, according to Oxford Economics, that if our planet is 2.2 degree warmer, which when you talk to scientists, they will tell you that yes, it will be 2.8, Esther, don't be so positive. So I said, no, if you are not positive, you're negative, and do nothing, it might be even 3.8. So I think we need to do something. We still have hope to drive change. But according to study, even 2.2 warmer scenario, it will reduce global GDP by up to 20%. There will be a loss of, a lot of loss of people, livelihood and all. And that's also why that net zero, race to zero is such an important global agenda. And it started around 2021 when we were at Glasgow. And this campaign has been spreading wide and far, and almost like all the participating country, economies and cities and organizations account for almost more than 90% of global GDP already. We need to drive change at the regulators level, financial institution, businesses, and all organizations. And net zero is really driven very actively and aggressively by financier. And now if you talk to banks, you need to show your ESG report card. If not, they will, screen you out. And almost like we were talking to bankers and all, that net zero is their target also. So they have to really, screen their borrowers to make sure that it doesn't impact on their own net zero target. And same for insurance company. There are a lot of assets in the world that may face very a high climate risk or rising sea level. Those may not be even insurable, or it costs a lot of money. And then some of them may become stranded assets, which is a huge, impact on any owners, property owners, financial bottom line. And of course, we have read a lot about 11 cities are going underwater by 2050, including our neighboring country, like Jakarta and Bangkok. So I think we all need to do something, and we need to do it fast and, fast and wide. And today I know that the interest is on charity, governance and all. I think whether you are non-profit or profits, we all share the same planet. So it's really a lower hanging fruits that it's no brainer that everybody has to take care of the climate. And I think for NGO, we work with a lot of NGO also for fundraising, to help them to carry out their very worthy causes. But if you are, in a down economic, conditions, it's very hard for us to raise funds, right? We also support charity and all, and we know how difficult it was actually. Yeah, I still remember working with Jane Goodall Institute Singapore before COVID. It was not easy to sell tables. So to us, it's like every other day people ask us to buy table. How difficult it is. Then when I start to help to sell table, I'm like, not that easy, So until, really you do it, then you will know the challenges. So if the world is not sustainable, economy is bad and all, I'm sure that your life will be harder in raising funds, right? We share the same, situation when the economic downturn is hitting us. So we need to actually, when we talk to an investor, we need to dish out a very good ESG report card. So same for, charity organization. You also have to dish out a very good report card on your governance, right? And you might or might not have very strong environmental impact, but almost every organization will have certain, environmental impact or social impact. You guys are much higher than, company like us. So how do you really present a very strong report card to impress your, donors, potential donors to support you? That's very important. Yeah. And then also connecting with the younger generation is very important. Same for us as a developer. When we sell home to younger generation, and they will ask about green feature. They care about greenery, blue feature, and green feature, water feature, and all that, or recycling, facility. But the good old day, they're just talking about location pricing. Right? But now they do look at, is your residential development, healthy for us? Do you have amenity, facility that is good for mental health and physical health? So times have changed, and you talk to younger generation, my daughters and all that, their thinking is very different. And they are saying that I'm not going to some fast fashion brand because they're not sustainable. So I'm like, okay, good. So we don't really need to teach them. The younger generation is very well exposed, to the social media and all. So I think for nonprofits and charity, we are looking more really like, the social and economic challenges, but we all share the same planet. So I wouldn't say that environmental climate challenges does not affect you. So I think this is something that we look at. In fact, climate change is actually the biggest threat to humanity. We are talking about, save the world, save the world. Actually, if we are not saving the world, we are saving ourselves, because we are the one who's going to survive or not on the planet. It's not the planets that need us to save. Yeah. So I think for NPO, we really need to, look at what is your role specifically? And of course, the answer of like how, the question of how is very important. That will be my last slide. So stay tuned. So as a company, and I just want to share with you how we started. And like I said, I started in 1963 as a small company office with 8 employees only. So what we started is like, when I joined the company in 1995, we only have a global presence of 9 countries. And today we are much bigger now. And I think times has changed a lot. And how we design our building, run our building, manage our building, engage our residents and our investors, our tenants have changed a lot. So what we are happy with is like we started the ESG journey very early, almost 30 years ago, 1995, with a very simple, single-minded thinking is we can conserve the environment, the community when we construct. So we are not the builder. We work with the contractors, subcontractors, supply chain and all, but we are like a project manager. We are the lead manager. We have to share with them what do I want to build on this plot of land, whether it is a high-end project or whether it is a mid, market and all. And we also want to make sure that it has to be very green and very sustainable. That was even before Greenmark was launched in 2005. We have already launched our first eco-condo in 2002 called Savannah Park, and using solar energies to power the clubhouse. That was really very early in 2002. And but after, thanks to BCA's hard work, after Greenmark was launched and in 2005 as voluntary, things have changed a lot, and in 2008 become mandatory. And with mandatory, that means it's a license for you to build and to own property, to manage property. So things change very fast, and fast track to, today, I'm sure you all heard about the Singapore Green Plan, the 5 pillars, the sustainable living, future, proof our economy and sustainable economy, and also energy reset, and all those are shared goals and target. And Singapore has also pledged for net zero by 2050. And in less than 2 months' time, carbon tax is going to be 5 times more than today. So there will be definitely impact on how you run your business, whether profit or non-profit organization. Yeah. So for us, we have 4 pillars to embrace ESG. We must integrate it into the whole corporate structure, and everyone from your top, from your board to your CEO, to your operations, all the way down to the rank and file, and horizontally cutting across all operationals and business. And of course, you also have to innovate. You can't just do things the same way as 20 years ago, 30 years ago. There are a lot of new technology, innovations can help us improve our performance, but you need to invest in it. So how do you drive, resources and capitals to drive change is very important, especially listed company. But for NGO like most of you are, have to also be very savvy in raising fund, because in order to serve your purpose, to do good for the for your beneficiary, you need resources. Let's put it this way, right? And then last but not least, we impact. The last I is impact. So these 4 I have been really driving us to, in our ESG strategy, whatever you do, there is positive or negative impact. So you have to track your performance and also report, because your stakeholder expect you to be transparent, and your annual report is very important. And of course, your financial, and also ESG, that traditionally considered as non-financials, are all important indicator of how good your management is and how effective your operation is. So this is what we are, we have been looking at. And of course, the sustainability reporting for listed company is very different from, NGO, but safe to say that you also have to, be very robust in setting targets that suits your organization, and also what are materials to your stakeholders as well. And for us, of course, we build home and we look at, how we can really achieve super low energy, which was actually BCA's, the latest green building master plan. And we are very honest that we must walk the talk. When you talk about ESG, it's not just about theory. You have to really reflect it in your product, and your service stewardship. So I'm not going to market this now, but it's more like to show you that any organization must carry out, deliver goods or services that really embrace your vision, not just about talking, but also doing. And you also have to engage your whole value chain, from the regulator to, for us, it's like the land sale, and also, all the architect, engineer, consultant, main contractor, subcontractor, supplier, and down the lines to, home buyers and residents and building users and shoppers as well. So the whole life cycle is really, really quite challenging. And how do you maintain, and low energy is very, very challenging, but we have to do it because we have to support the national pledge and also the global race to zero as well. And this is our journey, but I'm not going to bore you with everything. I'll leave the deck, with your organizer if you're interested. And but let's put it this way: the climate will not change for the better if policy, practices, and people don't change. So as simple as that. So this is more for reference as a developer, but for every organization, I'm sure you have your roadmap, to transition to a low carbon and sustainable future. And we have done actually 16 sustainability reports as of now. And I know that the world is pushing for sustainability reporting. And yesterday we just have a very big milestone event that the 2 largest Sustainability Reporting Standard Setters, GRI, Global Reporting Initiative, and ISB were in Singapore to roll out how they can collaborate. And there is actually a Sustainability Innovation Lab that we have set up. So do stay tuned and to see. There will be probably a guideline that we are working on with the listed company, public sector, and also SME as well. And I don't think they have a special guideline for charity, but I think, this is probably in the midterm or long term. Yeah. So, okay, this is the report card that as listed company, we have to dish out to our bankers, to our investor, that we are actually recognized, to be aligned with global best practices. And these are the really independent, assessor, such as the Dow Jones Sustainability Indexes, FTSE4Good, Global 100, and MSCI. All these are very robust assessor, almost like an annual exam to rank you at what level. Are you A, triple A, double A, or B or C? And because investors and bankers are using this to assess your investment, proposition. And we don't just look at business. As a developer, I don't like to just write check without knowing where the money go to. So we actually built, some platform that on the national level to engage the public, to educate the public, and also to empower them. What exactly is green building? The best way to do it is to build it. What exactly do you mean by net zero building? The best way is to show them at the Green Gallery and our Sustainability Academy. We build it and we have a real-time tracker to show that how much solar energy we have generated, almost real time, and then how much we have used. So that is how you really prove that this building is actually net zero, not just about talking, but showing it physically and all. So if you have time, do go to the Singapore Botanic Garden, and currently it is a climate exhibition on melting ice sinking cities. So bring your children there, and a lot of actually our political leader, whether ministers or PERMSEC and all, they all have visited, and they really learn a lot from the the current state of the polar region. And don't think that melting ice has nothing to do with the tropics. Whatever happened in the North and South Pole, it will affect other parts of the world. And now, rising sea level is a real threat to, cities, low-lying cities. So we are not spare, and we are thankful that the government has done a lot to protect our coastal area. But I think we need to do more as individual as well, and whether you're a non-profit or profit organization. And Sustainability Academy is actually a place for networking and also capacity building. Now we'll be happy to talk to the organizers to run some program on sustainability for charitable organization as well. And so this is actually the last slide, most important. If I were you, I would just asking myself, like, what should I do? I only have like 10 people in my organization. What do? I don't have a lot of resources like, some large cap. So the first step I think we would need to do is really to do a stock take. Okay. Even your household, you can do stock take. Where are your strengths and weakness, and who, your stakeholders, your potential donors, what are they looking at when they make a decision to whether choose to make a donation to A or B or C? And who you can't be appealing to everyone, but who are your target market? You have to do a stock take. And what you do, are you appealing to your right target audience? Okay, the best way to do it is actually we conduct a materiality study every year, because sometimes when we think this is a very important ESG issue, but my investor, the media, the regulator may think otherwise. The best way to do is to ask them to survey, and some of the survey is like SurveyMonkey is not expensive. You just provide, 10 questions that can help you put a little bit of clearer lens. Is that, hey, my donor think differently. I think I'm going to the right direction, but they think otherwise. So it will help you. Stock take is very important. And then with the direction of what are the top ESG issues that your stakeholder think most material, then you look at your plan. Transition plan is very important. Step up on that, and then after that, you have to really come up with your sustainability report. It need not to be a 100-page report. It can be just a few pages that focus on your operations, focus on your direction, your visions, and your missions, and how do you, what are the impacts that you have generated. So, and I think it's not easy. Yeah, sustainability journey is definitely not easy, not simple, but if you can do it right, it is rewarding, not just to your organization, but to the people and the planet as well. And I'll be happy to share more during at the panel later on. Thank you.